I'm gonna clean up you poor brothers. You don't deserve to be at a fancy event like a wedding. My brother only finished middle school, and at 47 he's still working as a delivery guy. That seemed to amuse Jack, the rich son of a company president. But my brother dropped out to put me through college. He chose to quit school for my sake. I can't let anyone trample on my brother's sacrifice. Your company's gonna disappear too, Jack. I tell Jack, who's making fun of my brother. He looks like he wants to ask what a poor guy like me could do, but he just doesn't know. I couldn't stand up to him before, but now I've got the power to do it. No one's been able to stop him until now. But he's finally gonna pay for all the bad things he's done. I'm Mike, 43 years old. I'm the president of Midtown Holdings, a retail company. I started the business about 10 years ago, and by meeting the needs of the times, it's grown rapidly. Now, including our subsidiaries, we're pulling in $200 million a year. There's no doubt I was able to build such a big company thanks to my brother. The truth is, I lost both my parents when I was in 8th grade. I hadn't even finished middle school and couldn't make it on my own. With no relatives to rely on, I didn't know what to do. As I was struggling after suddenly losing my support, my brother Andy, 4 years older than me, said, "I'll work and earn money for us. So don't worry, Mike." Those words seemed like a ray of hope to me. But even as a middle schooler, I knew this choice would hold my brother back. But what about you, Andy? I'll drop out of high school, but don't worry about me. You need to finish high school and college properly. These days, you can't get a decent job without an education. Okay, I wondered if my brother would really be alright dropping out of high school. But as a middle schooler who couldn't work, I had no choice but to accept his help. I felt bad for my brother, but I nodded in agreement. The story of how I lost my parents and how my brother dropped out to support our family quickly spread among my classmates. While most of my classmates were worried about us, there were some who took the chance to look down on us. Look at these poor brothers. I hear your big bro's finally dropping out. It was Jack, my classmate. His dad's the president of Oak Tech, a company that makes about $100 million a year. You could tell from how he dressed that he lived a rich life. For someone like him, we were perfect targets for bullying and bragging. So what? Oh, I just think it's sad. Losing your parents and your high school brother having to work, it brings tears to my eyes. I was angry that he was making fun of my brother's painful choice. I wanted to argue back, but we had no power then. Plus, I couldn't risk causing trouble and messing up the education my brother was working so hard to provide. So I couldn't talk back to Jack no matter what he said. Jack loved to make fun of people, but I secretly knew about his misdeeds. It happened one day when I was heading home after studying late in the library, in the principal's office of the nearly empty school building. I was walking down the hall when I spotted Jack and the principal talking through a crack in the window. Jack was handing the principal an envelope full of cash, no doubt trying to grease the wheels for his grades and college recommendations. That guy, but the principal waved his hand and turned it down. Seeing that made me feel better, knowing he had good sense. Still, that scene has stuck with me even after nearly 30 years. That was not Jack's only dirty deed. One day off, I saw him in town. Jack was chatting up a girl student next to him. "You want anything else? Well then, next. That girl student is supposed to have a boyfriend. Jack's carrying a big shopping bag. He was probably throwing money around to date a girl who already had a guy. Does having money mean you can get away with anything? I wondered that every time I saw him up to no good, but I did not have the power to call him out. Why does he get away with this stuff just because he is rich? I had those doubts, but to survive, I had to ignore his wrongdoings. A lot happened, but thanks to my brother, I managed to finish middle and high school and graduate college using scholarships. It is all thanks to you, Andy. I really appreciate it. I am so glad I got to see you graduate. Sorry we had to use scholarships though. It is fine, I can work now, so I will pay it back. Andy, if you ever need anything, do not hesitate to ask me for help. Yeah, that is reassuring. Thanks, Mike. Thanks to my college degree, job hunting was not a problem. Because I studied hard, I had some choices and got into a good company with good pay and benefits. After working as a full-time employee for about 10 years, I started my own business, which is already on track. So now, I am living a life without any worries. For someone who lost their parents, my life could not be going better. On the other hand, my brother's education still stops at middle school. So even if he quits his job, there is no guarantee he will find another, and at 47, he is still working as a delivery guy. While I have succeeded in business, it does not feel right to let my brother keep doing delivery work. Thinking that, I have talked to him before. Andy, why don't you come work at my company? You would get better treatment, and you would not have to wear yourself out from dawn to dusk. No, I am good. Why not? I know your company is not the place for someone without an education like me. Whenever I invite him to the company, my brother always turns me down like that. It is true that my company basically hires college grads. But if my brother wanted a job, I could make it happen. Some employees might complain, but my brother has earned that right. It is no exaggeration to say my company exists thanks to you, Andy. So do not hold back. I'm just happy seeing you succeed. So do not play favorites, just treat me like always. That is enough. I think he is holding back, feeling his middle school education is not enough. But I would rather he worked at my company than worry about that. Still, forcing him to join when he might not fit in would not be good either. Where you work is where you go every day, so it is best to choose a place you like. So I told him to let me know if he ever changes his mind, and left the job decision up to him. Being a company owner, I was lucky in love too and got married. And I was living with my wife and son. After getting married, I moved out, but I explained the situation to my wife and we built a house near my parents' home. My brother's single, but he told me not to worry about him. However, just because I'm happy doesn't mean I can ignore my brother. My life is what it is today, thanks to him, so I wanted to repay him with everything I could. One day, my brother and I were invited to a classmate's wedding. My classmate's name is Kevin. Though we're 43, it seems he's finally found a good match. It might be late to think about kids, but it's never too late to find a life partner. At our family home, I talk with my brother about the wedding. You're invited too, Andy. What do you think? I can go too. My brother looks surprised, as if he didn't expect to be invited. Don't you remember playing with Kevin back in the day? I do, but... So I'm sure Kevin wants you there too. I hope so. He might have an inferiority complex about only finishing middle school and still working as a delivery guy. My brother often talks himself down like this. Still, he's a brother I'm proud of. Lots of people are fond of you, Andy. That's why you got invited. You should have more confidence. Really? Yeah. Let's go, Andy. We'll have lots to catch up on. Well, maybe I will go then. We sent our RSVP and started preparing for the day. Finally, the wedding day arrived. My brother and I put on dark suits and head to the venue. I wondered who'd be invited, but there were many familiar faces. Looks like our middle and high school classmates are here. Is that so? Yeah. Hope we can chat with everyone later. My brother and I talk as we check in and look for today's main couple. Finally, we spot the groom, Kevin. Kevin. Oh, Mike. And Andy too. Thanks for coming. Kevin notices us and comes over with a warm smile. We're glad you invited us. So you're finally tying the knot, huh? That's right. She's really beautiful and kind. I saw your wife's photo. She really is beautiful. Kevin gives a wry smile and says, she's so pretty that sometimes guys hit on her, which can be a bit troublesome, but she's really too good for me. She's talking with some other friends now, but please meet her later. Sure. I'd love to chat more later if you're free. Of course. After a brief chat, it seems other guests have arrived, so Kevin heads off. Watching Kevin leave, I talk with my brother. Kevin looks so happy. Amy, was it? Haven't met her yet, but she must be really great. Yeah, I'm glad he found someone so wonderful. After that, we walk around the venue. The hall, decorated with garlands and flowers, is beautiful. Whenever I spot a classmate, I strike up a conversation. My brother joins in these chats too, seeming to enjoy himself. As we talk with classmates, someone suddenly calls out to us. Oh, if it isn't the poor brothers. Hearing that voice, I get a bad feeling. It's been over 20 years since we met, but that unpleasant voice remains in my memory. I turn around to see Jack standing there. He comes over to me with a smirk on his face. Long time no see. What? I thought you might be homeless somewhere. I guess you had enough money to buy a suit after all. Jack, did you give a proper wedding gift? Don't tell me it was only $20 or something. Such a cheap gift will cut ties, you know. I'm disheartened that this is the first thing he says. You seem to be doing well yourself. Oh, of course. I took over my old man's company. So now I'm the president. Totally different from a poor guy like you. Then, my brother whispers to me, who's he? My classmate, but I had never told my brother about Jack. I didn't think there was any need to tell my hardworking brother about being mocked by him. Jack grins and approaches my brother. So you're Mike's big brother? Only finished middle school and worked hard to support Mike, huh? How pitiful. Even my kind brother frowns at such insulting words. You're a delivery guy, right? Being a high school dropout, it's pathetic you can only get bottom-of-the-barrel jobs. We often use online shopping because it's a hassle to go out, so we're always in your care. Is that all you have to say? My brother seems to have decided it's better not to engage with him, given his crude words. On the other hand, Jack seems to be enjoying my brother's bitter expression. Don't be like that. I'm saying I'm happy to see you. Jack grabs a beer from the table. Then, he suddenly pours it all over my brother. It happens so quickly that my brother can't avoid it. Helplessly, my brother gets drenched in beer from head to toe. Andy, I'll clean up you poor brothers. You don't deserve to be at a fancy event like a wedding. Beer drips from my brother's hair and suit. Those around us cry out in shock. Jack is delighted to see my brother soaking wet. You can't stay at the wedding in those clothes. Get out, Jack. Anger wells up from the pit of my stomach. As I start to stride towards him, my brother stops me. It's okay, Mike. What he's saying isn't wrong. He probably thinks that as a high school dropout, he really doesn't belong here. But how can I forgive this treatment of my brother? Knowing he'd be limiting his future, he became a dropout to raise me in place of our parents. Thanks to my brother, I graduated college and now live a comfortable life. I can't forgive this treatment of my brother who did so much for me. I hadn't planned to bring this up at a wedding. But if Jack is going to pull a stunt like pouring beer, I have something in mind too. Your company is going to disappear too, Jack. Huh? Who do you think you are? What can poor brothers who can only do delivery jobs do? I'm a company president. Jack scoffs at my words. You're not planning to crash a truck into my company, are you? That's about the only cleaning method I can think of for a delivery guy. Though that would be way too reckless. I wouldn't do anything so forceful. There are other ways. Then what are you going to do? You'll just embarrass yourself by acting tough when you can't do anything. Try it if you can. Indeed, taking down a company isn't something easily done. My brother, perhaps thinking Jack's right, worriedly calls out to me. Mike, it's okay, Andy, but there's no need to worry, because I have the means to do it. Anyway, there's an order to things. I can't leave my brother covered in beer. Excuse me, does anyone have a towel? When I call out, someone nearby finds and brings a towel. My brother steps away to wipe down his suit and hair and change clothes in a side room. After asking my brother one more thing, I faced Jack again. Jack had dutifully waited for me while my brother stepped away. As I glare at him, Jack sneers. So, you were talking big, but how do you plan to make my company disappear? You must have a way, since you're mouthing off so much. He's probably boasting, thinking a poor person can't do anything. But he should have run away while he had the chance, for his own good. I had planned to follow more formal procedures, but if Jack insists, I have no choice. He'll have to be humiliated in front of everyone. It seems there have been some suspicious activities in your company, so I had it investigated. Huh? Inflating expenses with fake receipts, kickbacks on outsourcing fees. Are you evading taxes? Hearing my accusations, Jack is visibly flustered. Surely no one has ever called him out before. What are you talking about? Tax evasion? I had the companies you deal with investigated. When we were doing business before, I heard some concerning rumors about Oak Tech. You investigated that much just because of rumors? Indeed, only someone very curious would investigate internal affairs based on mere rumors. But for this matter, I was certain there was some wrongdoing for a particular reason. I know you've always had a habit of throwing money around. So I was concerned and had it looked into. Sorry to say. A habit of throwing money around? What do you mean? You've always tried to bribe the principal or use money to go after girls who had boyfriends, right? Jack turns pale, as if he never thought this would be exposed. He must never have expected things from nearly 30 years ago to be dug up now. What? That's ancient history. True, it's all in the past. But do you think all your misdeeds are forgiven just because time has passed? I glare at Jack as I say this. Even after nearly 30 years, I couldn't forget your wrongdoings. We live honestly but are forced into difficult lives. Meanwhile, why are you allowed to do bad things just because you have money? I'm probably not the only one who finds such a society unreasonable. Those with wealth cover up their misdeeds with money and gain more through wrongdoing. On the other hand, the poor aren't rewarded no matter how honestly they live. I couldn't understand why such rules were allowed to exist. In the past, all I could do was overlook Jack's tyranny. But now I can prove that his actions were wrong. And I now have the power to do so. I can finally make Jack face the consequences. There's no way I'd miss such a perfect opportunity. Then, as if wondering something, Jack says to me, "Wait a minute, you're talking big, but how could you investigate my company? You're just a delivery guy." Who said I was a delivery guy? But you're the poor brothers, aren't you? You must be delivery guys, or at least working some other bottom-rung job. I never told Jack I worked in delivery. He just assumed that because my brother does delivery work, and he thought we were poor. I'm the president of Midtown Holdings. What? Stores under Midtown Holdings often appear in TV ads. Even Jack must have heard of it at least once, if I'm the president. That's impossible. Midtown Holdings is a major corporation with annual sales of $200 million. That's right. You know it well. No way. There's no way you could be the president. Starting a business isn't easy. Jack seems to understand that much, given the title of president. Yeah, starting the business was tough. But I succeeded. Thanks to my brother, who you look down on, working hard to put me through college. If my brother hadn't chosen to work to raise me, I might have ended up in a low-paying job too. Starting a business probably wouldn't have even been an option. Thanks to my brother, I was able to get a full-time job. I learned various skills there, which led to me starting my own business. After graduating college, I worked as an employee for a while. Thanks to getting a full-time job, my salary was stable. I shared it with my brother, who was still doing delivery work, calling it repayment for his help. But even as a full-time employee, when trying to share my salary with my brother, the amount was pitifully small as just a regular employee. This wasn't enough to repay my brother. Thinking this, I decided to start a business. After careful preparation, I started a small company dealing in daily necessities. Over time, it expanded and grew into the large company Midtown Holdings. Now, including affiliated companies, it's grown into a large corporation with annual sales of $200 million. I was receiving a salary more than enough to support my brother and have plenty left over. When did you become such a big company? That's how it is. Oak Tech still has annual sales of $100 million, right? Quite a small company. Getting cocky. He inherited the company as president, but the sales haven't changed much. He probably just sat back in his position as president without implementing any management strategies. Midtown Holdings' annual sales are double that of Oak Tech. There's a gap here that can't be easily closed. Until now, Jack looked down on us and threw his money around because of his wealth. But now, I have more financial power than him. It was clear he could no longer look down on us. So, there seemed to be a lot of suspicious money movements. What's going on? Care to explain what's happening internally? I ask, but Jack can't answer anything. Surely, he's only been doing things that can't be brought to light. Seeing Jack remain silent, I scoff. Can't explain even though you're the president? This is your chance to prove your innocence. Even if you say that, I don't know. The employees must have done it on their own. What a pathetic excuse. You're an irresponsible president. Ugh. Jack still can't say anything back. He must be flustered, never expecting his misdeeds to be exposed at a wedding. I press him further. I hadn't planned to bring this out here, but if you're going to pick a fight, I have something in mind too. Damn it. Tax evasion is a serious crime. I wonder what would happen if I reported this to the police. Jack seems to realize how bad it would be to be reported to the police. He says, as if grasping at straws. Then keep quiet about this. How much do you want? It seems he's admitting to being involved in tax evasion. He may have decided he can't talk his way out of it, but he's being naive. You try to solve everything with money, don't you? Then what's money for? What's wrong with using it to protect yourself? But it's wrong to use financial power to get away with things that shouldn't be allowed. At the very least, trying to cover up one's own misdeeds with money is wrong. Trying to hide wrongdoing with money isn't acceptable. Stop acting like you're some kind of hero. Everything in this world is set up to be solved with money. You started a business, so you must want money too, right? Jack says with a cackle. So, how much do you want? Name your price. I'll make it happen. This isn't about money. Do you know why I went to such lengths to investigate your misdeeds? What is it? I couldn't stand your attitude of throwing money around. I tell him, as he understands nothing. Do you know how we felt when you looked down on us just because we were poor? My brother said he'd work, not caring if he became a stepping stone. Without understanding what a drastic decision that was, you mocked us just because we were poor, dropping out of high school to work. In today's education-focused society, even my brother, a high school student then, must have understood how difficult that choice was. Dropping out of high school means your final education is middle school, and your future becomes limited. Knowing this, my brother decided to raise me in place of our parents. Who could mock such a decision? I wanted to argue back, but I didn't have the power then. But now I have the power to do so. Then I'll apologize for that. Is that good enough? It's too late. No matter what you say, I have no intention of forgiving you. If he had changed his ways while still a student, things might have been different. We might even have been able to do business as good partners. But it's all too late. Even after nearly 30 years since graduating middle school, he shows no signs of reflection. His unchanged nature has led to wrongdoings like tax evasion. Then, as if hearing the commotion, Kevin arrives. Hey Jack, what's going on here? Kevin. Jack is surprised, as if caught in a bad situation. Next to Kevin is his bride, Amy. It seems they've come after hearing the commotion. Kevin's expression has changed from his earlier cheerful look to one full of anger. What have you done to Andy? It seems Kevin has already heard about Jack pouring beer on my brother. What's the big deal? A poor delivery guy snuck in, so I thought I'd wash him out. I didn't do anything wrong, Jack says arrogantly, without a hint of remorse. When I was a kid, Andy played with me and took care of me. He has every right to be here. For you to try and kick him out on your own, it's outrageous. There's no need to associate with someone like that. He's just a delivery guy after all. I think it'd be better for your future to be nice to me rather than someone with no social status. How dare you? Then Amy looks at Jack's face and gasps. You? What, do you know each other? Amy isn't our classmate. We've never seen her at school, so she must have attended a school in a different district. I thought she wouldn't know Jack, but it seems they're acquainted. Then, Amy says cautiously to Jack, "A few months ago, you asked me to hang out with you. I refused because I was with Kevin, but you said it wouldn't be found out if it was just for a bit." What? Kevin is shocked, clearly not expecting Amy and Jack to know each other. "You kept pestering me, trying to get me in your car or inviting me to restaurants, no matter how many times I refused. I'm sorry, I didn't want this to be known, so I kept quiet until now." Jack turns pale, having his worst misdeed exposed at a wedding. He has a bad habit with women, especially targeting those who are taken. He probably covered it up with money before, but he never expected his actions to come back to haunt him at a wedding. Kevin's expression turns to anger. "Hey Jack, I invited you today because we're classmates who used to play together, but if you try to make a move on Amy, that's a different story." "That's not true. It must be a case of mistaken identity. You haven't changed since the old days, still trying to hit on women who have boyfriends." Mike, his bad habits with women haven't changed since the past. And now, it's coming back to bite him here today. Jack hurriedly makes excuses. "But I didn't know she was your wife. It's true. How can I believe you now? I was a fool to invite you." "Get out," Kevin yells, as if he can't bear the thought of Jack making any more moves on Amy. Then, as if giving up on excuses, Jack says, "Damn it, what's with all of you? I'll crush you all with my authority. I know where all of you work. I'll contact your business partners and ruin your reputations. Then you'll all end up on the streets. I think your company will be ruined before that happens, because my brother should have already made the call." Then footsteps are heard. A man in a suit that doesn't match the wedding venue appears. It's a police officer. My brother, who was resting after wiping off the beer, had called them. They probably went to my brother first to hear what happened, then came looking for Jack. "Which one of you is Jack?" Suddenly, all eyes turned to Jack. It was obvious who Jack was. "Hey, what's this about? We heard you poured beer on someone." Depending on the circumstances, this could be considered assault. "Mind if we ask you some questions?" Jack protests. "What? I didn't injure anyone. Pouring beer or water on someone can also be considered a crime. It's not something to be taken lightly." What? He probably never thought he'd be charged with a crime just for pouring beer on someone. Jack's eyes widen as he's called out not just by those around him, but by a police officer. "That's how it is. Come with us." "Wait, I'm the president of Oak Tech. If you let this slide, I'll give you as much money as you want. How about it?" Officers don't move for such things. "Damn it, let go. You cowards, calling the police for something like this." Jack is taken away by the police officer, shouting all the while. Watching him leave, still unrepentant to the end, I exchange glances with Kevin. Jack will face assault charges for pouring beer on my brother. That alone would be a minor offense, but from there, due to my accusations, his crimes will be revealed one after another. Falsifying receipts to inflate expenses, colluding with contractors for kickbacks, and evading taxes by hiding income, using the extra money to buy real estate and other assets. As a result, Oak Tech comes under investigation. In the end, Jack has to pay $1.4 million in fines and additional taxes, and due to the severity of his crimes, he's sentenced to 2 years in prison. Oak Tech's tax evasion becomes a news story. With the president arrested and trust lost, Oak Tech loses more and more business partners, eventually falls into financial difficulties, and goes bankrupt. Jack's father, the former president, is furious and reportedly disowns Jack. He repeatedly committed wrongdoings while covering them up with money, continuously reaping the benefits. However, illegal acts can't continue forever. He finally faces the consequences of his accumulated misdeeds. Despite the commotion, Kevin's wedding ceremony ends safely. After everything that happened, it's a relief to see the happy couple. I look forward to hearing reports about their daily life from now on. After that, I continue managing Midtown Holdings. My brother keeps working in delivery. With my company making $200 million in annual sales, my brother doesn't need to work. In fact, given how much I relied on him as a student, I'd prefer if he didn't. However, not wanting to rely completely on his younger brother, he insists on earning his own living expenses. His strong sense of responsibility remains unchanged from the past. Thanks to you, Mike. That Jack guy, he was evading so much in taxes. Yeah, really. He's been like that since the old days, a real troublemaker. I wish I'd been strong enough to talk back to him. My brother looks apologetic. I don't want him to make such a face. I'm actually glad I could protect my brother. Don't say that. I am who I am today thanks to you, so please let me keep repaying you. Really, but I only did what I should have done. But not many people could make the decision you did. So please accept this without hesitation, as my thanks for supporting me. I see. At this point, my brother might have felt that his past devotion was rewarded. Thanks to my brother's decision to drop out of high school and work, I am where I am today. So from now on too, I want to keep repaying him with everything I can do.